Today we're putting the iPhone 14 Pro up against the Google Pixel 7 Pro, which has never been done here on YouTube yet. I'm the first and only one. No other reviews comparing these two phones exist. Don't even look. You're stuck with me. And today we're comparing the cameras, video. We're gonna do video, we're not touching photos today. Maybe we'll do photos. Maybe we'll include photos. Probably not. I'll probably throw in some photos. We'll see. It'll happen, but we'll see what happens. Right now we're actually on the iPhone 14 Pro in cinematic mode, which is now available in 4K 24 frames per second. Also available in 4K 24 frames per second on the front-facing camera, as well as the telephoto lens, which is great. How does this look? I mean, is this camera good enough, do you think? Are we at the point now where we can replace our mirrorless cameras? I think for content creating, we might be there. Luckily, for professional work, we're not there yet, especially when you're shooting parties or weddings or something like that, and it gets late at night and then you're in low lit situations. We're not there yet. I've been shooting with the iPhone 14 Pro and the Google Pixel 7 Pro constantly over the last 2 weeks or so. So today we're gonna be looking at a lot of those samples and you'll know which camera's which. I'll post it right here in the bottom. My left, your right, your left. Right here. Now, before we head outside and get some test shots with Vanessa, I actually want to flip this camera around because, like I said, we can now do 4K cinematic mode on the front-facing camera as well. So I'm curious to see how it looks in a well-lit studio situation like this. All right, we're not perfectly framed up here, but it's good enough. It's gonna have to work. I'll tell you what, on my screen, this looks pretty damn good. It always looks good on the screen of the phone that you're shooting with. And then when you bring it into your computer or your television or something like that afterwards, that's when you really see the real results. But right here, right now, looks pretty good. In cinematic mode, it's getting there. I mean, we're still a little rough around the edges a little bit, but it's getting there. It's doing a good job. All right, let's head outside and get some more samples. Now, before we do, a lot of times creators, when they show you samples of the cameras that they're shooting with, they play music and they cut to the beat really quick. And your brain can't even process what your eyes are looking at fast enough to let you know whether you like the shot or not. So I'm gonna let these shots purposely sit up on the screen a few extra seconds longer than I normally would. All right, where's Vanessa? Babe!
If I gotta do it, I'ma do the most. Since they paid to see a show, got the South overflow, yeah. If I gotta do it, I'ma do the most. Watching me, they take no, raise a toast to the goat, yeah. Body be dripping in Fendi, pat on my nose with that fancy. Money on me, I got plenty. Hundreds, 50s and 20s. Stage set, lot of them. Racks, house by the lake, bought that. Opposite brakes, draw back. Paddock on my wrist, I'ma hit 'em with a drip. They gon' pay the VIP to get a pic with me. I'm a star, brand new keys to the car. I'm the boss and the king of the czar. Got me so high, so addicted, telling me I'm the only queen of his heart. Guess I let you co-star. If I gotta do it, I'ma do the most. Since they paid to see a show, got the South overflow, yeah. If I gotta do it, I'ma do the most. Watching me, they take no, raise a toast to the goat, yeah. If I gotta do it, I'ma do the most. Since they paid to see a show, got the South overflow, yeah. If I gotta do it, I'ma do the most. Watching me, they take no, raise a toast to the goat, yeah.
Sorry about the wind noise. We're using the microphones on each phone here. One of the biggest sellers for me on the iPhone 14 Pro this year was the fact that we have cinematic mode in A, 4K, and B, 24 frames per second. Last year on the 13 models, it was in 1080p only and in 30 frames per second for some reason. So right now we're on the 1X lens, which is the main lens, which is usually the best quality lens on every smartphone out there. Now cinematic mode on the Pixel 7 Pro. And funny thing is all these years that we've had Pixel phones, I've been begging Google to let us have 24 frames per second, and we finally have it. And it's in the form of cinematic mode. And we don't have 30 frames per second, whereas last year on the iPhone, we had 30 frames per second and no 24 frames per second. I'm much happier with the 24 frames per second. Next year, I'd like to see it available in 4K on the Pixel phones. Now, one thing I'd definitely like to see Pixel work on, give us the option to kind of decrease that blur in the background, similar to the iPhone with different f-stops. Now, in my opinion, Google's colors look amazing. Google's skin tones are spot on. I got the sun blasting in my face here. And Google, we don't have to wait until next year to make some fixes. Let's get that f-stop option going as soon as possible and an update. If you guys want some help, you want to bring me on the team, I'll be happy to help out. I don't know about coding or anything like that, but I'm a fast learner and I can boss people around real good. Now let's compare the stabilization modes. First up is the Google Pixel 7 Pro, and I clicked on the stabilization button and I set it to active. All right, let's get a little jog. I'm in jeans. Maybe we'll do our Vince Vaughn jog that he does in every movie. I'm not darting right now, but you guys let me know, what do you think? How does it look? All right, now on the iPhone, we have action mode enabled, and we're gonna do the same thing, nice little light jog. One thing to know about action mode on the iPhone 14 is it takes it from 4K down to 2.8K, so I don't know how much of a fan I am of that. I'm sure next year it'll just stay in 4K and everything else will be in 8K for the 15, I'm imagining. Let's do our little jog. Oh boy, just ran into a spider web. They trapped me, but they didn't know I was gonna be running with the full force and blast right through it. All right, here is the ultra wide on the Pixel 7 Pro, which I believe is the same ultra wide that they gave us last year on the Pixel 6 Pro. I believe. Now let's switch over to the iPhone 14 Pro's new ultra wide camera. All right, here is the 14 Pro ultra wide. And by the way, we haven't been shooting in 10-bit ProRes on the iPhone. We'll check that out next real quick. All right, here is ProRes. And to be honest with you, unless you're really taking your time out to peep, I don't see a huge difference in image quality compared to the non-ProRes. What I do see a huge difference is in my storage size. I only got a 256 here, and ProRes eats up your storage quickly. Let's switch over to the Pixel 7 Pro in their new 10-bit HDR. All right, here we are on the Pixel 7 Pro now, and 10-bit HDR has been enabled. This is what it looks like before you convert it from HDR, which is actually HLG. If you're going according to Final Cut Pro's HDR tools, HLG is the one that transfers over the HDR video from the Pixel 7 Pro. Now when it comes to our telephoto lens, Pixel has the iPhone beat. We have a 5x zoom on the Pixel, which you're looking at right now, and we only have a 3x zoom on the iPhone. Both cameras are okay. I'd like to see Apple next year come out with 5x or maybe even a 7 or a 10x telephoto lens and really step it up, because honestly, that's probably my favorite and most useful camera on these smartphones, is a nice telephoto lens that I could just use on the fly while I have my wide with me with my real cameras. Pixel 7 Pro in cinematic mode. This is 1080p, we're upscaled now to 4K, but thankfully we do have an option to shoot in 24 frames per second like you guys saw outside. How does it look in here in the studio with the good lighting, now that we're not walking around and bouncing around too much and there's not too much movement? Before we switch up cameras, let me know down below in the comments how many of you guys actually edit video. If so, which platform do you use? Post it down below, I'm curious. Good news is no matter what platform you use to edit, Motion Array has a huge library of tools for pretty much all your video editing needs, like literally one-stop shop place. We're talking titles, transitions, a huge LUT library for pretty much any camera on the market that you could think of. We also have video overlays, motion graphics, templates, customizable intros that you could use for your videos, royalty-free music and sound effects, also stock video and stock photos. And it's all available for Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe After Effects, even Adobe Rush, Final Cut Pro, and yes, DaVinci Resolve. And you can use everything that Motion Array has to offer for one affordable monthly subscription. And right now they have a risk-free trial going on, which is an absolute no-brainer. Long before Motion Array was a sponsor of this channel, I was a happy paying customer because they really do have pretty much everything you need to edit video, and it's super easy to use. So use the link in the description below to head over to Motion Array right now to start your free trial. Thank you, Motion Array, for sponsoring today's video, and thank you for being a longtime supporter of this channel. Now we're on the main camera in just regular non-cinematic mode. And if you're seeing any type of jittering, it's only because 24 frames per second on the Pixel phones is only available in cinematic mode. When you leave cinematic mode, then you're forced to be in 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second, which I'm definitely not shooting in unless I'm doing some kind of slow motion. What are your guys' thoughts on the camera samples that I showed you here today? I'm curious to hear your opinion. Let me know down below. I mean, really, these are two extremely premium smartphones, but maybe you're not looking for a high-end smartphone. In that case, you might want to check out this video right here on maybe the best budget-friendly smartphone on the market right now.